So I just realized that if I take 45 minutes to an hour to speak, and then Jake does the same thing, and then Jesse does the same thing, and then Aaron does the same thing, we're going to be here till around 3 o'clock this afternoon. So everybody put your seatbelts on, hold on. We're going to do this fast. Right? We don't want to be here till 3 o'clock, do we? Well, it can be. It doesn't have to be. So my part of it is to speak about the bread. The bread. And so this is the loaf of bread. Now, I didn't bring the oven and all the mixing stuff. You know, I wasn't as prepared as Harvey this morning, and so I'm not going to bake the bread here this morning while I'm doing my lesson. Already have some bread here. What is the main ingredient of bread? Yeast? Okay, so I mean the main ingredient as in the most volume. Flour, right? And where does flour come from? And where does wheat come from? From seeds. And so you have a seed. Where does the seed come from? From other wheat, right? And so you have a seed, and you put it in the ground, and it has to die, right? And then it brings forth a plant, and then there's wheat on that plant at harvest time. And now you have these seeds of wheat that you can do one of two things with for production. One is you can plant more wheat with it. The other one is you can use it for flour. What has to happen to that wheat seed for it to become flour? It has to go through a crushing and a blending together with other wheat, right? Because you crush one piece of wheat, you don't have much flour. So it requires a lot of different crushings to happen, and then all this together. So how does that fit with Jesus coming and his life was crushed for us, right? And then we go through life and we go through crushings. How many of you have ever been through a crushing in life? If you didn't raise your hand, you're probably about to. Right? Because if you have not been through a crushing yet, then you probably will in sometime in the near future. If you have been through a crushing, don't worry, there's more coming. Right? So, is there a value in the crushing? What is the value in the crushing? Do what? No, not really purifying. Not even really refining. Yes? It becomes useful. Right? If you would put a whole bunch of wheat in a mixture and you would stir it together, wheat seeds, and try to make bread, how successful could you be? Huh? Pop wheat. It wouldn't even be successful, would it? Could you bake bread with that? And so you cannot bake bread with that until it is crushed and it becomes one with each other. God has a purpose for the crushings in our life because it makes us one with each other. Right? And so we go through life and we're not necessarily looking forward to the crushing, but like Aaron said, you think you're going through a terrible time, and then later on in life you look back at the crushing that you went through and you realize that that was exactly what you needed to get you to where God is taking you. Right? So when you put that seed in the ground, it has to die. The Bible says in John 12, verse 24 says, Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. The point there is that if that seed does not die, it abideth alone. So if you ever feel like you're alone in this life, there's an area of your life that needs to die. Because until you die, you cannot have a measure with other people. That makes sense? And so the other thing to think about as that seed goes into the ground, that it would represent disappointment in our life. So whatever we're disappointed with is because we wanted to live, but we had to die. Our ideas had to die. Our plans, our own way had to die. That is the only way to have disappointment is if you had an expectation beyond where God is taking you. Because if you're flowing with God and you're willing today, whatever God you want for me today, God, whatever you have for me today, I am willing. And whatever that is, you're satisfied with it, you walk with Him, and you just go through whatever you go through. You don't get disappointed. You get disappointed when you have your own plan, you have your own way that you think it should be, and then it doesn't work out that way because the seed is dying or being crushed. And so it's a part of our life that we need to understand, and then we can actually get rid of the disappointments and actually welcome the crushing. Okay? So the wheat gets crushed, and now it gets blended with other materials to become bread. And so sometimes in our life we are blended with other circumstances and other situations that God puts together with us, sometimes in very unlikely ways. Like, who would have thought that the people in this room would get together in unity? Like, we didn't even know each other. Some of us didn't know each other 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Right? But here we are being blended together by God for something that He wants to serve to the world, and we don't even know for sure what it all is, but we feel the stirring. Because God is there stirring us up, stirring us around, stirring us into situations, and blending things together for His purposes, for His will. Right? And then the bread represents the body. Jesus said, "This is my body, broken for you." And so in the process of teaching the disciples, Jesus took the bread and He broke it, telling them, this is my bread, this is my body broken for you. It's torn apart, it is pulled into pieces for your benefit, for your purposes. And then He offers us to take communion with Him. And when He gave them the communion, He said, "This is my body." And so as He gives communion to you, you are receiving this as His body. And you will take this in thanksgiving to Jesus for what He did. You will eat that in thanksgiving. You can eat it right now. And remember what He did for you at the cross to make a way for you to live in Him, which will include brokenness. It will include dying to yourself. It will include being crushed, your plans not working out, and all kinds of stuff like that as a part of this. Right? So can you receive that? And can you believe that Jesus is for you And He is wanting to make you a part of Him. And even this communion is His way of making you a part of Him. Did I give you that? Do you understand that? That by taking this, you are in agreement with Him becoming a part of you, and you becoming a part of Him. His body broken for you.